penalty.
You guys need to calm down with this, okay? You guys need to calm down with it.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Shifts and Pucks news pack for the today, which is Friday, November the 18th. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network, as it's a one-game night in the National Hockey League tonight. We'll get into that. We'll get into the WHL. We'll talk about the Flames and the Lightning and what happened last night as well, because some interesting games happened last night as well. Just to get you onto the schedule, our schedule to podcast tomorrow, on Sunday. We'll have the gang all together here, as we're going to be doing a Sunday schedule for the next couple weeks anyway. It is fluid because my schedule is fluid right now. And so that's where we're at this particular point in time. And as we do this, so glad you're with us. Hope you're going to have a great weekend as we approach Thanksgiving weekend here in the States. We'll get into all of that as well. But we'll start with the Flames tonight, last night playing the Tampa Bay Lightning, and a lot of shots, lots of volume at a net, but no results really. And I think that's for the theme of the show here of that game last night is the Lightning came away with a 4-1 win. I don't know if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan, if you come away super impressed with your team, but we wonder about that. Yeah. But that's neither here nor there. I think Tampa Bay's still trying to find their game. I think Calgary's obviously trying to find their game. And that's what happens, I guess, here with the Flames. They go down 2-0. They got Lucic does score a goal. It's called back for a right call, offside call. That's the right call, I believe, in that situation. Don't have an issue with that. I mean, we've discussed the issue of instant replay or video replay causing issues, or causing delays in the game. I mean, right now this is where we're at. So in that case, this is the right call. Yeah, so that doesn't help. Also doesn't help here as we go through the summary that that the Flames they're down 2-0 after one. Stamkos gets a goal from Sergachev, and then Kucherov gets his 8th from Stamkos and Sergachev. Mikhail Sergachev is a guy that has taken a step in the National Hockey League as a solid defenseman there. Mikhail Sergachev. You already have a Victor Hedman in Tampa Bay. Mikhail Sergachev had a pretty strong game. Then Lindholm on the power play from Huberdeau to Foley. I want to touch on that in a little bit. But then 10 seconds later, a goal Markstrom would want back. Philip Myers scores in the third to make it 3-1, and then Kucherov adds that into the empty net. And the Lightning come away with the win. Shots on goal in the game were 40-24 favoring the Flames. I don't necessarily know if there was a lot of high volume shots, but there were shots on goal. 46-34 hits favored the Flames. Faceoffs, Tampa Bay won 36-34. Flames were 1 for 3 in the power play. Lightning 1 for 2. Sergachev comes away with 2 assists. Vasilevsky 39 saves. Stamkos a goal and an assist in 17:52 of ice time. So the Lightning are, I mean, it wasn't the greatest game that they've ever played on that sense. But I think the big thing that's coming away here from the Flames' perspective is these line combinations that Daryl Sutter has moved away from. Of course, you saw that line score Lindholm, Huberdeau, and Foley. And Huberdeau, I think, is starting to get his game back as I do drink my Daryl Sutter Kool-Aid here. Huberdeau is getting his game back. He didn't feel that the lines were working. But to me, there's got to be some sort of change. these current line combinations, I don't necessarily think are working the most effective for the Flames. And I think you have to kind of look at this and see if you can reunite Lindholm and Huberdeau and Toffoli. And I think in this case with Lindholm, Huberdeau, and Toffoli especially, I think, and I mean, I could make an argument that Huberdeau could play with Lindholm and Huberdeau could play with Backlund. I can make an argument either way of that. But just from my perspective, Lindholm and Huberdeau have never played with each other before. So just to expect some sort of chemistry for them instantly that's a tough ask. And that was the thing with the Lindholm, Gaudreau, Tkachuk line is Lindholm and Gaudreau played last year. They already played together when they were playing with Sean Monahan. They already they established some sort of chemistry already, and Matthew just seamlessly filled in, and that line just had some unbelievable chemistry. And it's very it was rarefied air type of chemistry that's just was beautiful to see. Like the perfection line probably is of course, probably that line of Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak for the Bruins is up there, but that line of Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk, that had just some beautiful chemistry. It takes time to build that. You're not going to get that right away with Lindholm and Huberdeau, and I just think that you got to give it a little bit more time. I mean, Huberdeau did play 19 minutes last night. Backlund played 17, Coleman 13. But I think that's the one thing that you have to do here. There was a suggestion by Kent Wilson, who's been on our podcast, bringing Kadri, Huberdeau, and Lindholm together as a line, and then putting in having the lines here. Let's see if I can find it. But he had some interesting line combinations. I think the ultimate other thing is Milan Lucic should not be in a top 6 or even top 9 role. Like, I love Milan Lucic, and I want to, part of me wants to defend this because he's done what he's asked it to do, but he's not really working. Yeah, here were the lines: Kadri, Huberdeau, Lindholm, Backlund, Mangiapane, Coleman, Dubé, Ruzicka, and Toffoli. I mean, you got to keep Ruzicka in the lineup. He's playing pretty well. And then you got Lewis and Lucic and Rooney, or Richie, pardon me, and Rooney is the extra. And his argument goes, one line gets all 3 best players together like last year. 2 can play against anyone and thrive. Proved it in 21-22. 3 has mixes speed and finishing. I'll touch on this with Dubé. Should be finding his other 3 lines. 4th line is the Bash Brothers. I don't mind those lines. My one thing is Dylan Dubé. 1 goal in 15. He hasn't scored in 15 games. You need more from Dylan Dubé. Just flat out. One issue on that forward line is Dylan Dubé. And he's been the guy that I think everyone sees as a potential top 6 type of player on this team. And his consistency hasn't shown it yet. And that is a guy I think that they need to either find a way to get going. I know that a lot of people are not enamored with Kevin Rooney at this particular point, but didn't play a lot in the game a couple nights ago against Winnipeg. Tonight or last night was a healthy scratch. So you need more from him for sure, but you also need more from Dylan Dubé. You're not getting enough from Dylan Dubé. Defensively, still a struggle with these pairs, but I think you got a pretty good effort out of Dennis Gilbert. I believe he was on for 21 shots for and none against last night. He got into a fight a week ago in the Jersey game. I think that he's been, of the guy that's been trying to compete for that 6-7 role, I think Dennis Gilbert has shown the best over DeSimone, over Connor Mackey. I think Dennis Gilbert is making a good argument there. So I've been pretty impressed with him. He's not going to be spectacular, but he's giving you a little bit of what you want. 6 hits last night, by the way, 2 shots on goal. So Flames continue this trip. They head into, and I think, going to be a very interesting game The return of Jonathan Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weegar to Florida. Matthew Tkachuk playing his first game against his old team, the Flames. Probably will be more significant when Florida comes to Calgary a little bit later in December. But this will be an interesting game from the Calgary point of view. And of course, you got Sam Bennett as well, Ryan Lomberg. So that will be an interesting game there. But I mean, for the Flames, got to get some wins on the road. They've, haven't won on the roads. They've only won one game on the road, and that was that first win against the Oilers. They haven't won a game since on the road yet. So you've got to figure that's another thing that you want to probably get going here, especially when I'm sorry, folks, you're in a playoff hunt. And by the way, a team that has stumbled for a while, just found their way to tie you when they were buried. We'll touch on them in a little bit here as well as here, but we'll get to the games last night here. We'll just kind of quickly touch on it, all of the games last night. So we go back here. Bruins win at home again, 4-1 over the Flyers. I think that was probably a game, if you were betting, you would probably go Bruins. Bruins continue to win. Tortorella says that the Flyers suck. So probably not much of a surprise. Devils, Maple Leafs. Devils beat the Leafs 3-2. Devils continue to win. That's 11 in a row. They are coming at that again here. Igor Sharangovich scores. Vitek Vanacek, again, stellar goaltending for the Devils. One of the best trades in the offseason was that trade of acquiring Vitek Vanacek. Jesper Bratt has a good game, and Sharangovich, scores in overtime 57 seconds in. Nico Hischier, a lot of people are talking about for Selke. Can I just put in a word that I think the Jack Adams has been signed, early sealed and delivered? I think that it's Lindy Ruff. I think he has to be in that conversation for sure. Right now, the way that the Devils are playing, and a lot of interesting things that are going to go on there. Stars had jumped out to a 4-0 lead. To beat the Panthers 6-4. Stars continue to be impressive. Avalanche beat the Hurricanes in overtime 3-2. The Colorado Avalanche are starting to get their game together. The Blue Jackets beat the Canadiens 6-4. And that Blue Jacket team has run through a number of injuries here. But you got 3 points from Sean Corrali, 2 points from Boone Jenner en route to the win. 4 goals in the third period. Wonder at some point if we see more Cole Sillinger with Johnny Gaudreau at some point as well. But Josh Anderson scores. He's been a name linked to both the Flames and the Oilers in trade talk. So that interesting as there as well. Going through some of the other games, and a big night last night. The Blues win again 5-4 over the Washington Capitals. And don't look now, but remember when we called the St. Louis Blues, we left the St. Louis Blues in for dead? Well, folks, I'm sorry, the Blues forgot to get the memo because they've won 5 in a row. They are, and you can argue that schedule all you want. You can argue a bunch of different things where you're at with the Blues. I wasn't high on the Blues, but they are 1 point out of a playoff spot right now, and they tied the Calgary Flames last night, 8-8. So they're not going anywhere. So that's what's going on with the Blues. They win again. Capitals continue to struggle. You wonder if they are where they're at in terms of their situation. In terms of what they're doing for next year. They have a lot of injuries now, so it's really tough for them to compete. But There we are. Preds beat the Islanders 5-4. The Preds are in that second wild card spot. That was a team, Predators, that got off to a little bit of a slow start as well. They're starting to pick up. So we're gonna have an interesting playoff battle in the Western Conference with looking like here. There'll be another team that is gonna we'll get into here that's gonna be in there. Penguins beat the Wild 6-4. The Jets honored Teppo Numminen and Timo Selanne. By the way, I don't think we talk enough about Timo Selanne in terms of all-time players. I think if Timo Selanne played in Toronto and Montreal or the Rangers in his career, he would be considered in a conversation with one of the best goal scorers who ever played the game. Just because of the market that he's not being talked enough about. Guy had 76 goals in his rookie year. He continued to be a very solid scorer with Anaheim and San Jose, and as well with Colorado for a year there. Timo Selanne needs to be recognized a lot more, but he was recognized, as will Teppo Numminen, and into the Winnipeg Jets Hall of Fame. And they beat the Ducks 3-2. The Golden Knights beat the Coyotes 4-1. The Golden Knights continued to set the standard in the Pacific Division and the Western Conference, like everyone predicted. Just joking. The Kraken, Justin Schultz gets the overtime winner. They are not going anywhere, folks. I keep reminding you of this. They are in third in the Pacific, and they beat the Rangers in overtime 3-2. Another great night for Erik Karlsson. Another loss for San Jose. Detroit fighting their way into this for the Eastern Conference playoff, trying to fight into that early, beating the Sharks 7-4. So that was last night. Tonight, one game, and it's here in Vancouver. It's the LA Kings who are sitting in second place, taking on the Vancouver Canucks, who are sitting in second last in the Western Conference. However, something interesting here. They have played the second least amount of home games in the Western Conference. And I want to say, yes, in the entire league. The Vancouver Canucks have only played 6 home games. Others like San Jose have played 10, around that 10 mark. Edmonton's played 10. Calgary has played 11. So if you are of the position that the Canucks can turn it around, I think you're in the minority. But the one thing that you may have an argument for you is there hasn't been a lot of home games. So they've played 11 road games. They've played 6 home games, and they're 2-3-1 at home. So that is, if there's a way to make hay, is getting those home wins, but still just a lot of questions around this Vancouver Canucks team. At least they come home on a bright spot. They beat the Buffalo Sabres. The Kings coming off a win against the Edmonton Oilers. And of course, Alex Edler with the controversial hit of Connor McDavid did not get supplementary discipline. All that. So Kings 11-7-1. And just looking at the Kings at this particular point, Gabe Vilardi, 10 goals. Another pleasant surprise this year. Jonathan Quick has 6 wins and a 3.09 goals against average. Kevin Fiala has chipped in 12 assists. New that big acquisition from last year. Goals per game, middle of the pack, 3.32. Goals against, 3.37, 20th. I think they would like to improve that. Their injuries, Alex Iafallo, Brendan Lemieux, and Jacob Ingram are at, but Lemieux and Iafallo are scheduled to return pretty soon. So that is the situation there. So a tough matchup for the Canucks against this Kings team is probably not. People were like playoffs, maybe third. This is the Alberta division now. The Kings are not interested in this Alberta division, Battle of Alberta conversation. And, I think right now at the Western Conference, I think that Battle of Alberta that we're all hoping and loving is probably at a little bit of a disadvantage here for a second round anyway. The Flames are out of a playoff spot. The Oilers are in the first wild card spot, and the Kings are sitting in second place. So for the Canucks, of course, we have all the questions about coaching. We have all the questions about Bo Horvat. We have all the questions about what they do at the blue line. We have all the questions about who plays in goals. This is the same questions we'll discuss on Sunday. see where the Canucks are at this point. I think getting off on the right foot here for the Canucks would be great as we look through their schedule here. As you've got the Golden Knights on Monday, so you got to kind of through your gauntlet here. You got the Golden Knights Monday, and then Wednesday in Colorado. So not an easy block of schedule here for the Vancouver Canucks. By the way, one of the games tomorrow, Golden Knights and the Oilers tomorrow. That should be an interesting game as well. So that's the NHL part. Let's look at the WHL. Got a few games going on tonight. Starting in Moose Jaw. Swift Current is taking on Moose Jaw. You've got Medicine Hat taking on Saskatoon. A lot of talk around Connor Bedard. Have a watch at Gavin McKenna. I think a lot of people are really high on him. He plays for the Tigers. The Edmonton Oil Kings, former champs in the basement of the WHL, hosting the Brandon Wheat Kings. You got the Red Deer Rebels, who are second in the Western Conference, taking on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. The Portland Winterhawks are first in the Western Conference, taking on the Everett Silvertips. Spokane and Kelowna are in action tonight. You've got the Hitmen, who are kind of the quiet story in the WHL. They're off to Tri-City. You've got the Prince George Cougars taking on the Victoria Royals. And also tonight, Kamloops Blazers and Vancouver Giants are in action tonight in the WHL. And in the AHL, we've had no games last night. Tonight, you've got some games here. A few games here. We'll focus first on the R2 farm teams. Calgary taking on Bakersfield, Grand Rapids, San Diego tonight as well. In terms of the record for the Wranglers, as they're playing Bakersfield, the Bakersfield Convoys, a Battle of Alberta Minor League edition. By the way, the Wranglers 6-5-1, 7th place. The Condors 7-4-1 in second place in the Pacific Division with 15 points. So kind of a little bit of a logjam here early in the Pacific Division. But the other games tonight, you've got Cleveland taking on Laval, Charlotte taking on Bridgeport, Toronto taking on Belleville in a Battle of Ontario teams, Las Vegas taking on Providence, Utica taking on Rochester, Hershey taking on Wilkes-Barre, Milwaukee taking on Iowa, Chicago taking on Rockford, Manitoba taking on Texas, Coachella Valley taking on Colorado, and Grand Rapids, as mentioned, against San Diego. So light night in the NHL, busy night in the AHL and the WHL. And so again, we'll be back on Sunday to discuss the Canucks, some Flames, some National Hockey League. We'll gather around 11 Pacific, 12 Mountain for that. Join us live. And meantime, follow us all individually on what is still here. Twitter's still here. Twitter's not gone anywhere yet. Follow Sean Beardy Canucks 03, Tyler TNOBLE, Chris Schneids SCHNEIDZ, Devin Gordhouse 09. I am KEVOLE. Shifts and Pucks on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Thank you for watching and listening, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.